The docking bay of Kethris Station pulsed with movement crates, sliding on grav pads, engines cooling, crews shouting in half a dozen languages. Liam Drake wiped his hands on his work vest, ready to finish his last shift of the day. Then, a shadow blocked the light above him. A Vorsky warrior loomed, armor plates shifting, fangs exposed in a posture that made nearby species scatter. "You insulted my honor," the warrior growled. Liam blinked, exhausted and unimpressed. "Did I?" The alien stepped closer. "Stand down or suffer." Liam sighed a quiet, annoyed exhale. "Try it." The entire docking bay went silent. Not the kind of silence that followed a lull in engine noise or a paused conversation. This one hit like a vacuum. A loading droid froze mid-pivot. The flickering panels above stopped displaying updates, unsure whether to continue their cycle. Liam could feel the weight of dozens of eyes, ocular, photoreceptive, and otherwise locked on him. The Vorsky's nostrils flared, his jaw tightened. No one moved. A Skeller tech near a grav coupler whispered, "He said what?" The warrior's claws flexed, scraping faint lines into the metallic floor. Vorsky were biologically and culturally engineered to dominate through posture, threat, and, if necessary, swift violence. Their honor code was absolute, but it had no paragraph on what to do when the target didn't flinch. Liam didn't look brave. He looked tired. Worn boots, scuffed tools, grease on his sleeves. He wasn't posturing. He wasn't even angry, and that was the problem. A small, floating orb zipped in station surveillance, one of the Kethris enforcement monitors. It emitted a soft tone and recorded the scene in passive mode. Moments later, security personnel jogged in two Zovanti and a single human lieutenant, Mira Chen, trying to read the situation before it exploded. "Stand down," Chen barked. "Everyone stand down." No one moved, because technically, no one had moved to begin with. The Vorsky turned his head slightly, acknowledging authority without yielding. He insulted the sacred mark. Liam followed the gesture. A delivery crate had nudged a column decorated with crimson carvings, apparently ceremonial. He winced. "Wasn't on the map," he said. "I didn't even see it." "That doesn't matter," the warrior snapped. "Then I can't help you," Liam replied, tone flat. Another silence. This one had edges. A small cluster of traders, Thalinari, soft-limbed and periwinkle, began betting silently through their shared neural network. The odds fluctuated wildly. Lieutenant Chen stepped forward, hand half lifted toward Liam, like she wasn't sure whether to drag him away or salute him. "Drake, are you intentionally provoking a Class 4 warrior?" "No, I'm intentionally not being threatened." The Vorsky's eyes narrowed. "You do not fear me?" "Should I?" The warrior's snarl trembled. Something unspoken passed between him and the surrounding onlookers. The tension didn't lessen, it mutated. Uncertainty spread like heat across a pressure seal. Several species looked from Liam to the Vorsky, and then at each other. This wasn't going the way it was supposed to. Security fanned out in a wide arc. Chen whispered something into her comm, and protocols were activated. Containment shields shimmered faintly around the bay's perimeter. Nothing intrusive, just insurance. A Vortan clerk, barely a meter tall, adjusted his translator node. "Human defiance exhibits traits consistent with apex predator logic," he noted. A trader behind him muttered, or suicidal tendencies. Lieutenant Chen cleared her throat. "Look, this was a misunderstanding. Let's just file a damage report and—" "Honor was insulted," the Vorsky interrupted. "There must be satisfaction." Liam squinted. "Define satisfaction." The warrior didn't answer. He simply loomed again. It was at this moment, paradoxically, that the threat level began to fall. Because he still hadn't attacked. And the longer he stood there, teeth bared but unmoving, the clearer it became. Something was stopping him. The Vorsky species were not cowards. Their hesitation wasn't fear in the conventional sense, it was cognitive dissonance. Liam was supposed to break. To cower, to offer apology, to yield. Instead, he looked ready to clock out. Liam finally spoke. "You really want to beat up a guy for scratching your column? It is not just a column. Okay, but you're not just a guy, you're a full-on armored warrior. So what's your plan here? Teach me a lesson in humility by hospitalizing someone who's beneath your level." The Vorskai's expression flickered. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but those nearby saw it. Doubt. Lieutenant Chen stepped in like someone diving between two moving airlocks. Okay, we're going to take a breath, everyone. Warrior. She glanced at his shoulder insignia. Torvak cool, was it? I'm sure you don't want to violate interspecies trade code sections on escalation. I would be within my rights. But would you be within your honor? Liam asked, half to himself. Now, the silence returned. Not fear this time, just pause. The warrior's hands lowered, his claws retracted slowly. Torvakul's voice dropped, and when he finally spoke, it was measured. Your people are strange. Not the first time I've heard that. I will not fight you. Good. But I will not forget you. Most people don't. Torvakul stepped back, turned, and walked away. The containment field flickered off. The watchers began to murmur, and then resumed motion like a hive slowly reanimating. Droids spun up, panels resumed updates, but the atmosphere never returned to normal, not quite. Liam reached down and picked up the crate he'd been moving, as if none of it had happened. Can I finish my shift now? Lieutenant Chen gave him a long, slow look. You're going to be a problem, Drake. I've been hearing that since high school. Behind them, two alien observers took rapid notes. One was a Zentari sociologist, the other, a ranking officer from the Peacekeeping Accord, watching through a live feed. 3 hours later, a report was drafted in the command tower. Incident type: cultural misunderstanding, escalated threat. Species involved: human, Drakey, Liam, Vorskai, Torvak, Kul. Outcome: threat retracted by Vorskai. No physical conflict. Notes: human failed to exhibit standard prey species fear response. Warrior retracted challenge voluntarily, unprecedented on record. Recommend immediate review of human behavioral protocols. Action items: update security training simulations to include human threat response model. Add advisory to Vorskai diplomatic guide. Humans may not respond predictably to intimidation. In his bunk later that night, Liam was already half asleep when a message pinged on his datapad. From Station Director Lirel. Mr. Drake, please report to Administrative Hall, A4 at 0900 hours. The station governor would like to debrief you personally. Liam groaned. Great, more paperwork. Liam sat on the edge of a too-clean chair in Administrative Hall, A4, trying to stay awake. It was early, and someone had decided the best way to design a government office was to make it look like a sterile hospital. Smooth walls, silent air recyclers, and lights with a passive-aggressive flicker. He rubbed his eyes and glanced at the lone potted plant in the corner plastic. A transparent panel blinked to life on the wall. Drakey, Liam. Cargo operations. Temporary civilian labor classification. The voice came from above, clipped, formal, and mildly disapproving. That's me, Liam said, raising a hand like a student in trouble. The door hissed open. Station Director Lyril stood behind it, flanked by two diplomatic aides. Lyril was a Thalvani, tall, segmented, and bioluminescent, but dressed in a muted gray robe tailored to avoid drawing attention. His posture hinted at both curiosity and irritation. You may enter, Lyril said. This will not take long. Liam stood, stepped inside, and realized just how much longer his day was about to get. The room beyond wasn't just for debriefs. A full delegation sat at a semicircular table, Kethris Station's diplomatic council, a dozen species, 2 humans, and a recorder drone blinking overhead. This wasn't a disciplinary meeting, it was something worse. An inquiry. Director Lyril gestured for him to stand at the center pad. Mr. Drake, the director began, do you understand why you've been summoned? I told an alien to try hitting me, Liam replied. Apparently that's newsworthy. Muffled conversations broke out instantly. One of the aides made a distressed sound. A Gorathi ambassador, all fur and jawlines, leaned forward. Is this a display of bravado or sarcasm? Yes, Liam said. Several delegates blinked. Chen was there too, arms crossed, trying not to look like she was holding back a migraine. Lyril held up a finger. Your actions yesterday disrupted work across 5 sectors, triggered 3 diplomatic queries, and have already resulted in formal protest by the Vorsky Clanship Alliance. I didn't throw a punch, Liam said. No, Lyrell admitted, and that is what has made this so complicated. He waved one hand, and a holographic playback floated in the air. The docking bay, frozen at the moment Liam uttered those now infamous words. Several council members leaned forward to study his expression. Security footage confirms you never raised your voice, said a Tellery observer. No aggression, no defensive posture. You simply defied him. Liam shrugged. He tried to scare me. I didn't scare. The room went quiet again. A human diplomat finally spoke. She looked like she'd spent the night rewriting policy. Do you understand the consequences of a Vorsky retracting a challenge? In their culture, this is a public loss of face. Entire clans may shift alliances over such an event. I didn't know that, Liam admitted. Still wouldn't have backed down, though. Why not? Asked a Skarnan representative, eyes glimmering. Fear is survival. Sometimes, Liam said. But fear also gets you pushed around. You don't set boundaries by flinching. Another murmur. Lyrell raised both hands, glowing fingertips dimming. This incident may shape how humans are perceived throughout the region. The Vorsky ambassador has requested a formal explanation, a written apology, or, at the very least, a cultural clarification. Liam frowned. You want me to apologize for not being scared? No, said Chen. They want to know if that kind of defiance is common among humans. Liam rubbed the back of his neck. Define common. We don't all react the same way. Some folks freeze, others panic. But some of us, we get stubborn. The Gorathi ambassador chuckled, low and rumbling. Stubborn, that is a dangerous survival trait. A few delegates looked uneasy, others intrigued. The Zentari sociologist leaned forward. May I ask, were you raised in a military family? Nope, my dad fixed orbital tractors. Mom ran a garage. Were you trained in psychological warfare? I was trained in forklift operation. More murmurs. A few quiet laughs. Liam glanced around. Look, I wasn't trying to make a scene. I was tired. He threatened me. I called his bluff. That's it. The holographic display blinked again, this time showing Torvak Cool walking away. The Vorsky had indeed retracted the challenge. Official, recorded, signed. Lyrell exhaled. Very well, no formal punishment will be issued. But Kethra Station is now under pressure to provide additional documentation about human behavior. Good luck with that, Liam said. We barely understand ourselves. A ripple of amusement passed through the council. The director signaled an aide. You are dismissed, Mr. Drake. Liam turned to go. Oh, and one more thing, Lyrell added. You have been requested to attend a cultural orientation summit. A Vorsky delegation will be present. Liam paused. You want me to walk into a room full of warriors I accidentally humiliated? Chen gave him a sideways smile. Think of it as continuing education. 3 days later, Liam stood outside the Kethris Orientation Hall in a freshly pressed work vest that still smelled faintly of cleaning solvent. He tugged at the collar. Should have taken a sick day, he muttered. Inside, the summit buzzed with soft music and diplomatic chatter. Dozens of species mingled over refreshments tailored to every dietary quirk imaginable. Panels projected shared history, timelines, cultural touchstones, and safety protocols. And at the far end of the room, 6 Vorsky warriors stood in a row. Torvak Cool was among them. As Liam entered, conversations faltered. Heads turned. Torvak Cool locked eyes with him and slowly stepped forward. The crowd parted like metal filings around a magnet. You returned, the Vorsky said. I was invited. You could have declined. I could have, Liam agreed. The warrior studied him in silence, then did something no one expected. He offered his hand. Liam hesitated. Is this one of those hands you crush to prove dominance, or a normal handshake? It is what your people call a handshake. Liam took it, firm, steady, not a test. Torvak Cool released his grip. Your words have spread. Among my people there is debate. Some say you are foolish, others, cunning. Which do you believe? I believe you are dangerous in a way we do not yet understand. Liam smiled faintly. I get that a lot. Torvak Cool turned and walked back to his group. Liam exhaled. He was still standing. A Zentari envoy drifted close. I believe this marks a shift in interspecies relations. Because I didn't flinch? Because you were willing to be seen, not flinching. Liam nodded slowly. Same difference, I guess. Behind him, another diplomat whispered, "We need to update the handbook again." Liam wasn't sure how his job title had become irrelevant overnight. He still had a cargo assignment, technically, but the station's admin system now flagged his profile with a bright yellow tag. Cultural Reference Asset, Human. That meant most days were spent in observational debriefs or cultural workshops, meetings full of aliens trying to figure out what made humans tick and how likely they were to tick off everyone else. The odd part? Liam hadn't done anything since the docking bay incident. No grand speeches, no confrontations. Just walking through the station now made species give him a wide berth. Not out of fear, exactly more like strategic uncertainty. He was officially a symbol. Liam hated being a symbol. Lieutenant Chen found him one morning sitting near a window alcove in the arboretum level, sipping instant coffee that tasted like hot moss. "You look like you've aged 10 years, she said. "I had to explain sarcasm to a group of Jernathi bureaucrats for 4 hours yesterday." "Oof." She sat beside him. "Well, don't get too comfortable. You've been summoned again. Peacekeeping Accord wants a follow-up." He groaned. "What now?" "They've got reports that some Vorsky enclaves are calling for honor trials against more humans. They think you started a trend." Liam stared. "I just didn't blink." "Exactly. Now they think none of us will." The Peacekeeping Accord operated out of a diplomatic wing so sterile it made the rest of Kethris feel like a scrapyard. Everything gleamed. Every corridor was symmetrical, the kind of place where nobody ever ran. Liam was led into a long oval room lined with curved seats and multi-species reps. A translator node pulsed overhead, syncing vocal patterns instantly. "Mr. Drakey," began a calm voice, a Saraxi administrator, skin like moving quartz. "We appreciate your cooperation. The matter we face is delicate." "Let me guess," Liam said. "The Vorsky are mad again." "Not precisely. They are confused." Torvak Cool was present too, sitting near the front. He watched silently. The Saraxi continued. "Word of your encounter has spread beyond local clans. Several Outer Ring warrior factions believe humans may represent a new form of psychological warfare. They now refer to it as the misunderstanding weapon." Liam blinked. "What?" "They believe your behavior was calculated to destabilize social hierarchy through unexpected apathy." Liam looked at Chen. "You hear this?" She was biting the inside of her cheek. Every word. Torvak Cool finally spoke. "When you told me to strike, you invited shame upon me without aggression. It reversed the challenge structure. There was no response my instincts had prepared me for." "It wasn't a tactic," Liam said. "I was just tired." "This is more dangerous," said the Saraxi. "It means your unpredictability is inherent, not learned." Another delegate, this one Thalanari, leaned forward. "We must assess whether human presence is likely to provoke unstable challenge environments. It may compromise trade and military interactions." Liam raised an eyebrow. "So, we're too calm and confusing to be safe?" Torvak Cool said nothing, but his gaze was steady. A silence stretched across the chamber. Finally, a new voice spoke older, gravelly. An elder Vorsky, scars across his snout, seated at the back. "This human's defiance did not dishonor our people. It revealed a weakness in us. We assumed all sentience could be classified by response tier. Fight, flee, submit. We did not plan for shrug." Heads turned. Chen whispered, "I like him." The elder continued. "We have grown brittle. Our honor is intact, but fragile. Perhaps the human did not insult us. Perhaps he showed us the limits of our thinking." Liam tried to look humble, but his face settled into its default expression, mild disbelief. "May I suggest," the elder Vorsky added, "that we do not demand apology or retreat, but instead seek exchange. Understand the nature of this defiance." A murmur of agreement. The tone in the chamber softened. The Saraxi concluded, "In that spirit we propose a human Vorsky cohabitation trial. mutual work assignments, daily observation. You, Mr. Drake, will serve as cultural liaison. Wait, Liam said, live with them? Work alongside them. Eat with them. Train, if permitted. Train, he echoed. Torvak Cool stood. You will not be harmed. That's oddly specific reassurance. The old warrior gave what might have been a smile. It is your turn to be observed. 2 days later, Liam found himself moving into a shared suite near the Vorsky barracks. It smelled like heated metal and victory. The furniture was minimal, 1-bed platform, 1 basin, 1 sparring circle. Where's the coffee machine? He asked. Torvak Cool stared blankly. What is coffee? We're gonna need to fix that. Their first interactions were civil but awkward. Vorsky routines ran like rituals, intense, loud, and extremely linear. Morning began with protein intake, followed by sparring, followed by meditation through shouting. Liam tried to follow along, sort of. He didn't win any matches, but he refused to yield easily. Every time he stood back up, Torvak Cool looked slightly more confused and impressed. By the 3rd day, other Vorsky began watching him. Not challenging, just watching. By the 5th, they started asking questions. Why do humans not mark hierarchy openly? We fake modesty. It's a power game. Why do you sleep so much? Because we hate mornings. Why do your eyes show pain before your mouth admits it? That's, wow, okay, you're paying attention. Word of the trial spread. Delegations visited. A few humans joined later ambassadors, volunteers, but Liam remained the original. A walking paradox. One morning, after a silent breakfast, a new habit adopted by half the barracks in his honor, Torvak Cool sat beside him. Your methods, he said, are without method. Exactly. This unsettles me. Liam grinned. Perfect. Now we're bonding. Liam was asleep when the riot broke out. A station-wide alert buzzed through every hall of Kethris. Containment breach in docking sector 12. Non-lethal combat reported. Species involved, Vorsky, Talmeri, unidentified human. He sat bolt upright in his bunk, groggy and annoyed. Why is it always docking bays? Torvak Cool barged into the room a second later, armor half on, jaw clenched. They are invoking blood echo protocols, he growled. Those are words I don't like waking up to, Liam muttered, pulling on his vest. Within minutes, they were sprinting through the main corridor, passing confused maintenance drones and a worried-looking vending machine operator. According to updates on Torvak Cool's datapad, a Vorsky had drawn a weapon in response to a verbal slight from a human traitor. The Talmeri, opportunistic by nature, had joined in, escalating everything. Station security was overwhelmed. When Liam and Torvak Cool reached the bay, the scene was chaos. 2 Vorskys stood squared off with a tall human in a jacket that read, Magna Freight Union. The man was bleeding from the lip, but standing firm. One of the Vorsky younger, armor shimmering with fresh clan markings, hissed through his teeth. You mock me again, and I will render your speech useless. I said your crate was in the wrong bay, buddy, the freighter shot back. That's not an insult, that's inventory control. Liam stepped between them before it spiraled further. Hey, we doing this again? The Vorsky turned, blinking. You. Liam gestured with both hands. Yes, me, local champion of accidental disrespect. The warrior hesitated not because he feared Liam's strength, but because he'd heard about him. Word had traveled. This was the human who didn't flinch. I demand reparation, the Vorsky insisted. Nope, Liam said. You can demand conversation. That's the only reparation available right now. More murmurs. A few Talmeri laughed sharp, clicking sounds of amusement. Torvak Cool stepped beside Liam. Your conduct reflects on all of us, he said to the young warrior. Will you elevate yourself through discipline or flail like a hatchling denied a bone? The young Vorsky bristled. No, Torvak Cool snapped. You dishonor me by imitating only my posture, not my purpose. That landed. The fight evaporated not with cheers, but with deep silence. The younger warrior looked away and stepped back. Security arrived seconds later, a little too late to matter. The human freighter gave Liam a nod. Didn't think you were real. Most people don't, Liam said. The aftermath moved faster than the incident. Within hours, the Vorsky Council demanded an emergency summit. The human delegation followed suit. For the first time, both sides agreed to speak without preconditions, largely because neither wanted more incidents like this to become the norm. Liam was invited again, not as a participant, but as a case study. He sat near the back with Chen, sipping recycled tea and watching the drama unfold. "This is your fault," she whispered. "I literally stopped the fight." Exactly. The summit began with formalities, speeches, appeals to honor, pleas for perspective. Then, during the open floor session, a Vorsky speaker turned directly to Liam. "We have studied your recordings," she said, "and we ask now, is it true that your calm was not from strength?" Liam stood. "Nope, it was from irritation." Gasps, blinking eyes, mild scandal. "You did not fear us?" "I was too tired to be afraid." "And if you were rested?" "Still not great at fear, sorry." Laughter this time, genuine. Torvak Kul stood next. "Let us not mistake the lesson. The human did not resist violence. He denied its usefulness." That hung in the air. Liam nodded. "I didn't want to fight, but I didn't move either. There's a difference between aggression and immovability. Humans aren't apex predators. We're persistence hunters. We outlast things. Especially bad ideas." More murmurs. A few delegates typed furiously. Chen leaned over. "You're weirdly good at this." "It's because I don't want to be here." In the days that followed, protocols shifted. The Peacekeeping Accord issued a revised section in their Interspecies Engagement Manual. Section 12.9, Human Interaction Guidelines. Do not assume passive posture indicates fear. Do not escalate without evaluating nonverbal cues. If a human responds with nonchalance, disengage and reassess. Recommended phrase: "Would you prefer to talk this through over a beverage?" On Kethris Station, more humans were hired, not because of strength, but because of adaptability. Mixed species teams ran smoother, tensions dropped, fewer security incidents were logged. And Liam? He finally got reassigned. Back to cargo. He was halfway through a crate list when Torvak Kul showed up again. "You still choose this work?" the warrior asked. "I like knowing where things go. You could have become a diplomat." Liam snorted. "That sounds like a lot of meetings." Torvak Kul nodded. "You are wise to avoid them." They stood in silence for a moment. Then the Vorsky held out a small box. Liam opened it, a polished stone with Vorsky script. "What's it say?" Torvak Kul smiled. "The line that doesn't move does not need to strike." Liam turned it over in his hands. "I'll keep it on my toolbox." "You are no longer unknown," the warrior said. "That is the beginning of something unpredictable." Liam looked at the docking bay, calm and busy. "I can live with that."